I went to an all-girls school and we were kind of always taught to kind of be, you know, really strong females, and it's very much ingrained in you from, you know, the first day of year 7. Everyone can be whatever they want to be, but it's really interesting as you kind of get older. It's 2017 and I think the majority of society, even though, you know, girls are going to school and being told that they can do whatever they want and be whatever they want, once you kind of leave school, there's still this real stigma attached to females that go out and pursue careers and rather than kind of staying at home. I didn't really kind of notice it until I'm 29 now, and probably in the last like 2 to 3 years, like a lot of my friends have kind of started getting married and having children, but it's not kind of a path that I really see myself going down. I don't really kind of see myself as a mother. I would never say never, but it's just not something that I see myself doing at any point in the near future. But it's strange having been in a kind of serious relationship with someone now for the last 18 months. A lot of people just automatically say things to you like, you guys will get married soon, you'll want to start having children soon, you know, you're almost 30. And it's funny the reactions that you get when you kind of go, no, I don't really think that I want to have children, and people don't know what to say to you. And I've had a lot of people kind of say things to me like, oh, are you not able to? The biggest moment in my life, I was about 13 and I kind of decided I was going to be a musician. It wasn't until I kind of actually left school that I actually realised just how hard that was actually going to be. Because I studied music at uni, and the majority of our course was probably about half-half girls and boys. But the majority of the girls were singers, and the majority of the boys, there was probably 1 or 2 boys that were singers. The majority of them were musicians. And I am born and raised a piano player. So ultimately that's kind of where I come from. And I didn't come to singing till quite late, but singers don't get the kind of credit that they deserve because they're typically seen as just kind of like the good-looking front person of the band. So I think kind of through that, a lot of the girls at uni weren't kind of as respected as the boys, just kind of even through that because, you know, oh, they're just the singer. They're not that important. And I think it kind of stemmed from there, and then slowly, like the girls kind of dropped away. And probably when I graduated in 2009, there was, I think, just over 20 of us that graduated out of 60 that started. It was probably about 3/4 boys that graduated to about 1/4 girls. Probably the biggest instance of sexism that I've kind of come up against, especially in the music industry, because it is a very male-dominated industry that I work in, is the amount of times that I've been told that it's okay because I'm a pretty girl. I can very easily laugh that off and act a little bit silly and ditzy. I think I did that for a really long time, where I kind of played down my own intelligence because I just thought that it was easier to kind of act like I was this silly little girl that kind of didn't really know what I was doing. The most hurtful part of that is the fact that there are a million boys that do exactly what I do that don't get told the same thing. They don't get told that, you know, if they don't get their legs out, that like, you know, on a shoot or whatever. But what it really comes down to is, am I talented enough, not am I pretty enough? A lot of the guys that I've kind of played with in the past, they see a girl who can play an instrument and it's like, oh my God, she's so hot, she can play an instrument. And it's like, why do you have to comment on the fact that she's like, why do you have to call her hot? Like, why can you not just go, oh, she's really talented. She's a really good bass player. It just kind of always comes back to this kind of thing about, you know, like sex and do I want to fuck her? And I think a lot of that kind of comes from, you know, when you're a teenager. I think it's kind of ingrained in you, and it's weird because it's not like anyone ever said this, like said the words to me, you know, you want to be attractive to men, but it's this weird kind of thing that society kind of ingrains in us that boys should want to fuck you. And if they don't, then you're weird. And like growing up, I was the weird kid and I was friends with a lot of boys, but like none of them wanted to date me. And so I kind of ran with being this kind of weird kid for a little while because I think it was more about me kind of like feeling ashamed of myself. That was kind of the front that I put up to kind of combat being, ashamed that the boys didn't like me. Yeah, it was hard. It was really, really hard to kind of figure out who I was. I spent the majority of probably, year 8, 9, 10, even year 11, where I was so envious of these really beautiful girls that I went to school with that had the most beautiful long hair and, they all knew how to put fake tan on. I just kind of looked at these girls and I just kind of always wished that I would be like that. I was never going to be like that. Like I didn't look like them. I didn't kind of act like them. And I think I just kind of went so far the other way to kind of protect myself from kind of feeling like I was trying to be like them and not able to be. As I got older, I kind of realised that, especially in music, like any creative industry, it's all very subjective. There's always going to be people that don't like what you do. I just feel as long as I'm proud of what I'm doing and as long as I can look back and say, I'm really proud of that and I didn't kind of compromise myself or any of my values, well then that's as much as I can ask. I am quite a passionate and emotional person, and I think, the minute that I've ever kind of gotten quite passionate about anything in my life, people turn around and go, well, you're being really hysterical and you're just ranting about things. And something that my parents kind of taught me from a really young age is always to stand up for something that I believe in and not to kind of take anything lying down, which I think in every argument I've ever had with them, they're like, why? Why did we ever say this to her? But I think it is a real thing that, females get painted as being really hysterical and getting kind of overwhelmed with their emotions. And as a majority, we are a lot more in touch with our feelings and our emotions than a lot of men are. I think maybe it's almost kind of a little bit threatening. I think that's why people kind of put it down and try and kind of hush you a little bit, because it is threatening to kind of, to have people kind of standing up for what they believe in. Now, the fact that I've kind of embraced all of that and kind of understood that being vulnerable is not a weakness and it doesn't make you a lesser person, I think it's made me understand why I'm feeling a certain way on a certain day. It's made me be able to articulate that a lot better, which really helps as a songwriter. But I think it also helps in the grand scheme of, being able to articulate that to other people, especially in terms of, being very emotional, being able to articulate that to someone else, exactly what I'm feeling and why. It kind of does give you a little bit more credit, because they can't turn around and say, oh, well, you're just being erratic. Because I'm like, well, no, I'm giving you a specific example of why I feel this way. They can't dismiss you because of that. A big part of strength is knowing who you are as a person and being really sure of that, no matter what that is. I think it took me the best part of 29 years to figure that out. And I'm still figuring it